Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 317 on this Friday, July 26th, 2024, where we'll try to figure out what we're going to be talking about today. I know we'll be talking about the recap of the third practice of training camp for the Dolphins. Just kidding. We're going to talk all things Tua Tagovailoa, including his, by all accounts, brilliant practice performance that was followed by the news that he has gotten his long-awaited contract extension from the Dolphins to the tune of 4 years, $212.4 million. It's worth diving into it immediately and even skipping the history lesson of 2017, where Ryan Tannehill was back from the torn ACL, tore an ACL on the first day of camp practice. Adam Gase brought Jay Cutler out of the broadcast booth. He served as a quarterback. Dolphins went nowhere. End of story. That about sums it up?
That sums it up. We're good.
Okay. Where to start with the Tua contract extension? Let's start with this. To me, it was not a surprise that it was going to get done at some point. With all the drama going on of it wasn't done before the start of the regular of training camp. It wasn't done in the offseason. Tua getting a little pissy in minicamp with the market's the market. And then the hold-in didn't do anything on the second day of training camp practices. Then today, Mike McDaniel, before practice, says he's going to be, a participant, goes out there the first play. And I would say perhaps not coincidentally, the play call on Tua's first 11 on 11 is to go deep to Tyreek. I'm going to say that wasn't a coincidence. And then the news after practice broke. So I guess your initial thought in terms of the timing, surprise, your thought?
My initial thought is good for Tua. I'm usually a player guy in this kind of stuff. And so good for Tua. He got paid. I wonder if the hold-in yesterday's practice was a factor. The offense did not look good yesterday. It looked okay under Mike White and Skylar Thompson, but it didn't have the look of an offense that we're going to make progress without Tua. Like it looked like an offense that needs Tua out there to make any kind of progress. Whether that was a factor, whether that was a catalyst in getting this thing done today, I don't know. But the offense looked choppy yesterday. It looked very smooth and fluid today. I'll tell you this about that first play, Poop. It was against Jalen Ramsey. And it was play action. And I guess Ramsey bit. But Ramsey, I was typing. I looked up, and the ball is in the air, and I don't even know who's defending Tyreek. Jalen Ramsey was probably 15, 20 yards out of that play. I don't know what Jalen Ramsey was thinking, but great throw by Tua. Definitely fired everybody up. And, Poop, I talked to a lot of players today, Kendall Fuller, Aaron Brewer, Liam Eichenberg, and I asked them all, what was the difference in having Tua out there today? And they all said you could feel it. There was just an energy. There was just a confidence. Tua makes that much of a difference. There wasn't that vibe, that buzz, that excitement, that energy yesterday. It was definitely there today. And I did ask somebody with the Dolphins if the reason that Tua participated fully today was because he knew the contract was coming or it was already done, agreed to, and that person said no, that was not the case. Take that for what it's worth, but that person said no, that was not the case.
Yeah, okay. And a couple of places I can go with this. To live up to my reputation as a Tua hater, I'm going to ask this question.
Yes.
Because you mentioned it was a great throw and all that, right after saying that Tyreek was so wide open you couldn't tell who was covering him.
Yes.
So, again, doesn't that kind of – and it's pointless now. And for those, by the way, I'm also glad he got his contract, even while having said – being on record beforehand, as you were, that to me the best play for the Dolphins was to go with the 5th-year option. Okay, they decided not to. It doesn't bother me. I literally had somebody ask me on Twitter whether I was mad. Why would I be mad? It doesn't affect me. I'm going to give my opinion based on the circumstances at the time. That was my opinion. It doesn't hurt me. It doesn't affect me one way or the other. But that first play that everybody talked about, it doesn't that kind of fall into the argument of where Tua stands, where was the play a great pass, or was the play that Tyreek completely smoked Jalen Ramsey, was open by 5 yards? And that falls in the category again of, and yes, Tua is the best quarterback on this roster. Nobody's ever questioned that. But again, how many quarterbacks could have success operating this offense? And the other thing you could say is, and that's the last thing I'm going to say about it in terms of practice, how often do we see Skylar Thompson and Mike White getting deep shots called with Tyreek? So again, this is why when people go, and I saw people went nuts, and I saw some comments immediately of like, well, Tua's going to get paid now. It's a freaking practice pass, deep completion. By the way, no contact, no pads. So if anybody, I saw this from it's a fan website, whose name will not go mention here, but basically suggesting that pass cost the Dolphins a lot of money. Like, I mean, face slap like you wouldn't believe. Seriously. I also don't, Perk, as much as I love you, buddy, I don't believe that his holding in precipitated the contract getting done, or the fact that the offense didn't look sharp without him. Again, because we're talking second day of training camp. I don't know that the Dolphins, first of all, knowing what they have, all of a sudden decided, oh, this was a bad practice, we need to get something done. I think all along, they have said all along they wanted to get something done. And there was a question of, who's going to budge. If you look at the numbers, it's 4-12.4, which averages 53.1, which was basically $100,000 more than Jared Goff. So he can say he topped Jared Goff in that number. In terms of guarantee, the numbers that are out there is 167. Goff got 170. That's kind of the same thing. So I guess in the sense of the market is the market, Tua got the Jared Goff market. He got a little bit below Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, so Poop, the big question with all that, so what the heck took the Dolphins so long? We haven't seen the structure of this deal, but this deal goes right with Tua's "the market is the market" comment. So why the heck couldn't the Dolphins get this done 2 months ago? Like that's what I'm wondering. Like, you gave Tua Tua won. Tua won. And the Dolphins won also because they've locked up the quarterback that they wanted to lock up. But if price was a thing, what do you think took so long here, Poop?
Well, but hold on, because you're saying like 201 in the sense of he got the contract he wanted. You don't think he won a contract that measured up to what Trevor Lawrence got? To me, I think eventually what happened is I think the Dolphins came up. Then everything always happens like this in a negotiation. I think Dolphins wound up giving him a little bit more than he wanted. I think Tua, I don't know that he got everything that he would have wanted. I think he got most of what he would have wanted, and he got himself a really, really good deal with all the security in the world with $167 million guaranteed. The dude is set, so that's taken care of. But I get the question: why couldn't this have been done before? Because again, always the organization is going to try to get the player at the cheapest possible cost, and the player is always going to try to get as much as he can. And again, without knowing for sure who budged in the final analysis or who made the final move to get it done, couldn't we say, why did it take Tua so long to accept what the Dolphins were offering, or what took the Dolphins so long to get up to the level that would make Tua accept it?
I think we could say either. Here's how I look at it, Poop. I don't think Tua ever thought or wanted to be the highest paid quarterback by AAV, average annual value. And that's the number that we're talking about when we say the $53 million. I think, how can Tua be unhappy? Like, he's number 3, right? Right. So Tua wins. I see how the Dolphins could be unhappy because now you're married to this guy. And look, as I said before, and I think it was on this show, that among the Chargers with Justin Herbert and the Jags with Trevor Lawrence, and Detroit with Jared Goff. I think two of those three are going to end up unhappy in 2 years. I don't know if you're going to put the Dolphins on that list, but it's more than I would have given to it. But that's more than I would have given Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence also. Joe Burrow, that's fine. You got to stay healthy, but that's a different discussion. You've been to a Super Bowl and you've been really good. You've won some tough games. Tua and Herbert and Lawrence, I wouldn't have paid any of those three what they're getting paid now. I understand Tua's the market is what the market is comment. That, to me, that doesn't make it right. So I think Tua is the big winner here as opposed to the Dolphins. And I shouldn't say the big winner is the winner because the Dolphins win also. I think Tua got more of what he desired in this negotiation is how I should phrase it.
No, that's possible. Now the question, of course, is going to come into play is what does the structure of the contract look like? Right. Where's the out?
Yes.
I believe there was a tweet by Spotrac, which is a very, very good, very useful website that deals with the salary cap and salary contract information. And they were basically suggesting that this kind of locks the Dolphins with Tua for the next 3 years. Mm-hmm. Again, as I'm not going to change my stance now that Tua has signed.
Me neither.
That may be a little bit long for my taste because at that point we're talking 7 years in. And in discussing the previous quarterbacks that you discussed, to me, Jared Goff, I think right now we know what he is as a quarterback.
Right.
And
we know what all of them are as quarterbacks.
Well, no, and I don't necessarily agree with you there. And that includes Tua. I don't think that the final chapter of the evaluation process is completely done. I think we can have a good inkling. I think you and I both sit on the same side of the fence as to what his ceiling is going to be. Mm-hmm. But I've always said this on the record that I make room for the possibility that there's yet another level. I'm not convinced he's going to reach it, but the possibility is there. Obviously, the Dolphins, in giving this deal, tell us that they think that there's another level. And this matches up with the public comments that Chris Greer has made that we expect them to keep going. Except I'm going to make the argument, and I wrote about this on si.com/NFL/Dolphins a few weeks back, that this notion that Tua's gotten better every year, it sounds great in theory, but if you evaluate his numbers from 2023 and 2022, no, he did not continue to progress. He actually was better in most statistics in 2022 and 2023, where he was better in last year was in terms of volume because he played all 17 games. So he had more yards, more touchdowns, more completions and all that.
Yep.
But in terms of efficiency and averages, 2022 is better. Trevor Lawrence, we do not know what his ceiling is in my book. I think Justin Herbert, I don't think we know either. And the fact that, with all due respect, he's played under one average head coach, Anthony Lynn, and one, I think we can say without being offensive, bad head coach in Brandon Staley. Let him play with somebody. Give him Mike McDaniel or somebody like that. Now he's got Jim Harbaugh, and I think the final chapter in his evaluation also hasn't been written. Jared Goff's one of those guys to me who, like, you know what he is, and to me, if I run an organization, that's not good enough.
I think I know what Tua is, and I don't understand what I'm saying here. It's been 4 years of evaluation. How long does it take you to evaluate a quarterback? Yeah. I think Tua can have a career year, but I think we know what he is, right? He's not I think he's probably about what he's been these previous 2 years. And I don't think he's this spectacular 3-to-1 touchdown to interception type guy. I don't think he's this guy who's got all this magic under his belt like Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, who can just make something out of nothing. I think Tua is a very good quarterback who, if you surround him with talent, he's going to exploit the hell out of that talent. He's going to hit Tyreek. He's going to hit Jalen Waddle. He's going to command the huddle. He's going to get respect from his teammates. He's going to be liked by his teammates. But he's not going to do the things that Mahomes and Burrow and Josh Allen do. He can win a Super Bowl, and I've written that the last 2 years. You can 100% win a Super Bowl with Tua Tagovailoa, but I don't think that Tua is going to lead you to a title the way Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes have done. I think that he would be the guy who runs the show, kind of like Russell Wilson was out in Seattle, right? Where he had beast mode and the Legion of Boom, and he definitely played to Pro Bowl levels, Russell Wilson, but he wasn't the reason they won the Super Bowl. He was the quarterback, and by default, you're the leader of the team, but he was far from the best player on that team. I would tell you Matthew Stafford. He's not. Russell was not better than Marshawn Lynch or Richard Sherman or Bobby
Didn't he
Wagner.
win MVP 1 year?
I don't.
That was my look. That was my look to you. It wasn't like didn't he win MVP? He had a year where he was like really, really good.
I'll tell you this about Russell, and you can look this up. And if I'm pretty close to the truth on this one, his first 4 years, when he really had Legion of Boom and beast mode, he was in the second half of the league in passing attempts. When they started winning and they had to pay guys and that thing broke up, he started creeping up in passing attempts, and that's when Seattle started moving down in the standings. Russell Wilson is a quality quarterback, right? But when you talk about Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, I think Russell Wilson is definitely closer to Terry Bradshaw than he is to Tom Brady, if you understand what I mean by that. Bradshaw is surrounded by Hall of Famers. Brady, not so much. Brady played a bigger starring role in leading his team to the Super Bowl. Bradshaw and Russell Wilson, definitely, great quarterbacks, but not the man. I think that Tua is in that same category.
Okay, I was double checking while you were talking. That's why my head was down, and as usual, I was.
That's why I filibustered.
I spat out something out of my butt. No, Russell Wilson never did win MVP, but
I didn't think he did, but
no, he didn't. But he had some good season, and I see where you're going. And again,
that's not a knock on Tua. Like Terry Bradshaw is in the Hall of Fame for a reason, right? And Russell, yeah. I don't know if he's going to get there. The back end of his career has not been that good, but at the front end of his career, he was a quality quarterback. But you had to surround him with stuff. You had to surround Terry Bradshaw with stuff. Again, I think that's the way Tua is. I think we know what Tua is. Again, he can have a year of 35 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, but he's not going to do that twice in the next 4 years. That's not who he is.
No, but okay, here's the thing, though. And to me, I don't think there's any question that as long as Mike McDaniel's the head coach scheming up the offense and they have the amount of speed that they have on offense at the skill positions, Dolphins are going to be productive on offense in the passing game, and Tua's going to put up really, really impressive numbers through November every year. Once we get down to the final weeks of the regular season and the playoffs, this is where he needs to put on the big boy pants and get it done. So kind of to justify the contract the Dolphins just gave him. And if he doesn't, it's going to turn out to be a really bad contract. And this is where I'm willing to give him the benefit of that. We have not seen that yet. Right. And truth be told, the sample size there is not 4 years, because the first 2 years, the Dolphins didn't have the kind of team or the offense they have now. The sample size is 2 years. And in 2022, it fell apart at the end, even before he was sidelined by the second diagnosed concussion. Mm-hmm. And then last year it fell apart, in part because there were a lot of injuries on offense, and Tua was not able to elevate those who were playing with him, and that's going to need to be the case. I said differently with this contract extension than I did when the Dolphins signed Ryan Tannehill to a contract extension, where at that time it was like, I know what that dude is. And Dolphins just massively tied themselves into a guy for the long term for no reason.
Yep.
This one, again, I would have gathered another year of data before committing that kind of money, but it's certainly not as egregious.
Poop, I know this is your podcast, but I want to ask you two things. I'm taking over. I'm going to cowboy this operation. Right. So here's my question to you. I've got a little rambling statement first. I want to know at the end of this, do you think expectations are ramped up on Tua now that he's getting paid? So I think there's a certain segment of Dolphins fans, and probably the younger fans, who are like, look, we love Tua, we love Mike McDaniel, we love this offense. Not everybody can win a Super Bowl. If you don't win a Super Bowl, entertain us. And the Dolphins have been great entertainers for the last 2 years. So really, nobody is bitching. Nobody is, demanding that they win a playoff game or win a Super Bowl. It'd be nice. But to this point, nobody has demanded it. Now, Poop, $53 million a year. Are people going to start demanding this of Tua and Mike McDaniel and this offense?
It's a good question. And can I take the wimpy way out and answer it by saying it's going to be the same polarized opinion as with everything related to Tua? Those who are big Tua fans will tell you, no, he's been awesome already. He doesn't have to be more awesomer. And those who are Tua critics, or the term that people like to throw around, Tua haters,
right?
Those will be like, they're going to be even quicker to dump on the dude if he has a mediocre game against a good team down the stretch.
Yeah. So you think not much changes?
I don't think so. And I think because he's such a polarizing player and has been that way since he arrived, that I don't know that it's going to change. I do think there is more pressure in a big picture sense where he doesn't produce. I mean, that's a black eye on the organization, on Chris Greer, maybe on Mike McDaniel as well.
Yep. Here's my other part of this, Poop. We've been wondering about Tyreek Hill. Does signing Tua to this length of an extension mean that Tyreek is going to get an extension? Because me personally, I really don't want to see Tua out there without Tyreek. So does this mean Tyreek is going to be extended, do you think?
Yeah, and I just saw a stat, and then it may have been from the aforementioned Spotrac. If not, I apologize. And I'm being delinquent in who deserves the credit. But the Dolphins are now the first team in NFL history with 3 skilled position players with $70 million or more guaranteed, with Tyreek, Waddle, and Tua.
Yep. That's what I called them. The highest paid quarterback, wide receiver trio in NFL history. So, right, does the accountability? Well, this is a Tyreek question. Does this mean Tyreek is being extended, or he'll be around?
I think you have to, don't you?
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
let's be honest. Is Tua without Tyreek? No, I don't think Tua is Tua without Tyreek. I mean, no. In terms of the production, yes, he's the same quarterback with the same skill set and all that. And this applies to, like, the ESPN Talking Heads this week had me like pulling my hair, going like, you have to pay him. Look, he's been top 5 in the numbers. Stop looking at strictly the numbers when you have the fastest skill position player set in NFL history, and you have a creative genius as your quarterback, as your coach, and operating in an offense that produces 100-yard passer rating quarterbacks all over the place, the Mike Shanahan tree. I do think you make the commitment to Tua, you make the commitment to Tyreek Hill, and they'll extend them. I think that then it's going to cap the number and is going to go down for a couple of years. with the signing bonus money, Stephen Ross's wallet's going to take a massive hit, but I think he can absorb it.
Yeah, probably. And I don't think this has a direct effect on Javon Holland. Do you? Either Tua or Tyreek? Holland is a different. He's on the different side of the ball. I know that it's the same pool of money, but right? I think what happens to Holland is not dependent on Tua's money. I think Holland is part of the defense, and if you think you need him to go along with Jalen Ramsey and Chubb and Phillips, then you pay him. If not, right, then you do something different.
Correct, and we don't know exactly what Holland's asking.
Right.
We don't know where the Dolphins are willing to go. And let's be honest, the face of the Dolphins and where the Dolphins have been built around since 2022 is Hill, Waddle, Tua, McDaniel scheme. And then, let's throw in some more speed. And we had Raheem Mostert who was already fast. Let's add Devon Achane 1 year. Let's add Jalen Wright another year.
Right.
That's who the Dolphins are. And that formula, and this could go back to the Jordan Poyer comments where he's talking about you can correct me if I'm wrong in my paraphrasing, that basically the Dolphins have been front runners. Is it so much that, or to me it's an issue of it's too much of a finesse team? And by making if you making the commitment to Tua, Tyreek, and Waddle to continue being your main guys, it's still going to remain a finesse team.
Yes, and let me throw something out at you, and I'm going to use the name of another podcaster because we were having a conversation yesterday. I know. So, the Jordan Poyer comment that basically if you get on top of this team, they have a tendency to fold. We're out at practice yesterday in the Big O. Orlando Alzagiri is out there, and he said that the Poyer comment is no surprise. It shouldn't have shocked anybody. This team has been like this for 40 years. And I said, no, that's not true. And he said the Jason Taylor and Zach teams. And I said, no, those teams were scrappy. Their deal was they couldn't score. It wasn't that if you got on top of them, they quit. It was if you got on top of them, it was going to be a string of Olindo Mari field goals and you would never catch up. I think the teams we had in the teens, right, 13, 14, 15, nobody was – Randy Starks is a grown man. Paul Soliai, grown man. Rashad Jones, grown man. Mike Pouncey, Richie Incognito. Those dudes weren't folding. They just weren't good enough. They just didn't have enough talent. This team has the talent. Jordan Poyer was saying they don't have the heart. That's two different issues. And I think you're right. They are still a finesse team. We'll see if Poyer can change that. Aaron Brewer, Jonnu Smith, Saran Neal, they did get some hard heads, but I think Poyer's point is correct until it's proven incorrect.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a couple of examples because I was thinking about it. It's a very strong statement. Certainly grabbed headlines, and coming from somebody from Buffalo, yeah, you could see that. Considering the success that they've had against the Dolphins in recent years. And to me, the biggest reason for that is that the Bills showed more heart than the Dolphins is because the Dolphins can't stop Josh Allen. That's been the issue. I'll give you an example. Last year, are we going to say the Dolphins showed no heart when they got down to Kansas City 21-0 in the first half, dominated the second half, put themselves in a position where they could tie the game or go for the win with a touchdown and 2-point conversion at the end? They couldn't get it done because they didn't execute. Was that the Dolphins really not showing enough heart, showing enough toughness? Game against Buffalo at the end of the year, I mean, they were up 14-7 going into the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. Punt return for a touchdown, and the Bills score another touchdown. I get the comment. Then that to me has not been the issue with this team. It's not that they lack toughness or whatever. No, sorry, not that they lack mental toughness. Their style of game, this particular, edition of the Dolphins, again, is a finesse offense that can have issues.
Yeah, I think that they're a finesse team. Their mentality, you know, this team doesn't, and part of it, this this is a locker room full of nice guys, right? This is maybe the nicest, most pleasant locker room I've ever covered, and you can take that for good, or you can take that for they need more of an edge. But Poop, if you're walking into a dark alley with a member of this Dolphins team, it's probably David Long, number one, Tyreek Hill, number two, and after that, it's take your pick. Tehran's not mean. Alec Ingold is not mean. Zach Sealer is not mean. Jalen Ramsey is not mean. Xavier Howard had a bit of an edge. Deshaun Elliott had a bit of an Christian Wilkins had a bit of an edge. Rob Hunt had a bit of an edge. Those guys are gone. And so I don't know where this, what Poyer talks about, if it was deficient the previous 2 years, well, I'm not sure your losses in that area probably outweigh your gains in that area. So what's going to happen? I don't know, but I think that and let's say this. Poyer said that in a very respectful way. He wasn't ragging on the Dolphins. The question asked to him was, what do you bring as a veteran? And he gave his answer in the context of, I can bring this team some veteran toughness. And that's why he mentioned that. And it was in that context that he mentioned it. He wasn't just ripping the Dolphins. I just thought I would put that out there. Poyer said it in a respectful way, but his point is still well taken. And I think his point still has validity. So when you talk about, the Dolphins, and I don't think Poyer meant this categorically. So, yeah, there are games that the Dolphins showed heart, but overall, and Hal Habib had a number in his column yesterday, and you saw it. I don't have it in front of me, but it was basically once the Dolphins trail, it's hard for them to come back and make up that deficit, especially the later it gets in the game. They have the talent, Poop. Don't give me cold weather and injuries because this stat goes all through the year. It's not just a road late season stat. This applies in September, in October, and in November. So I do think that Poyer comment has some legitimacy to it.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned he said it politely. He better say it politely. He plays for the Dolphins now. Can you imagine those wussies? Whenever they get down, they just fold like a tent. That wouldn't go over very well with his new teammates. Yeah, I don't know how much stock I would put in stats going back beyond the McDaniel.
No, this is just a McDaniel thing, right? Contract. Right. This is yeah.
Okay, before we wrap it up, anything else stood out from practice other than that bomb from Tua to Tyreek Hill in the first play of 11-on-11s?
Yeah. Let me get a wipe here because my AC is having some issues here. Tyreek, there was a better throw that Tua had to Tyreek, almost it wasn't a wheel route, but it was kind of a play like that. And he threaded the needle, put it right in there. And Anthony Walker was talking about that today, and I quoted him on that, and he said, I was out there like, dude. He said Tyreek probably wasn't even out of his break yet. And Walker said the Mike linebacker, the middle linebacker, should have been there in coverage, and he wasn't on the field, obviously. But he was saying the throw, the play, the anticipation, the timing was just so good that's Tua. That's why you want Tua. That's what's so special about Tua. So that play was out there. I thought Patrick Paul had a decent day today. I thought who I think is coming on is Quentin Bell at the edge, and he got some significant snaps today with some significant people around him. I'll say that.
Nice dancing around the rules. I like that.
I'm going to have my credential yanked in about 30 minutes because I'm giving away too much information. But that kind of stood out. And you know what? I thought the interior offensive line also had a decent day. I do think, Poop, that you have interior offensive line starters on your current roster. It's not ideal. But I think if you went Aaron Brewer at center, Liam Eichenberg at right guard, and Robert Jones at left guard, that's good enough, Poop. None of them are going to make the Pro Bowl, but you can't. It's hard to have 5 high quality anything, right? But in the secondary, right, your two safeties, your 2 corners, and your nickel, all 5. It's hard to get them all 5 high quality. Hard to get all 5 high quality offensive linemen. So again, I think if you get a center and 2 tackles that are, the strength of your offensive line and your 2 inside guys, that's where you can slack off a little bit. I think that's what you do. And we'll see what happens with the Dolphins. But I do think that their starters are there. And today was a pretty good practice for pretty much everybody. Even with what Tua did, the defense had its moments. So both sides, it was a pretty good practice today.
Okay. And on that, the Dolphins are not practicing on Saturday.
Right.
They are back on the field on Sunday, which is the first practice open to the public.
Yep.
I don't know what the status is as far as tickets are concerned.
If I'm not mistaken, practice starts at 10 and gates open at 9. I don't know if you have to buy tickets online or anything.
No,
like that.
No, you have the tickets are free. You do have to go to dolphins.com/ tickets. Maybe I apologize for not knowing this off the top of my head, but off the dolphins.com website, the official team website, it's where you sign up for tickets for training camp practices. They are free, but you have to get them through the team. And as I mentioned, again, this will be the first practice open to the public. And yes, you and I will talk then after that practice.
Yep.
And that will be the last practice that I will not be present for. After that, I'm going to be there with bells on like I usually am. So Perk, appreciate the wrap up. And again, the big news of the day as we wrap it up, Tua Tagovailoa gets the contract extension. The drama is over. Can we assume the hold-in is over now?
It better be. That would be great if Tua didn't do 11 on 11 on Sunday in front of the fans, right? I'm still not happy with my contract.
Exactly. Oh, my back hurts. I can't practice. That would be funny. Alrighty, on that note, everyone, thanks for watching. Oh, if I forget, always, please like, subscribe, share, tell all your friends. Thanks for watching, everyone.
And send your AC guy to my house. I might have an issue here.
There you go. Whoever knows an AC, hook up my man Perk over here. Thanks, everyone.